Let's go in order from oldest and work our way up to the one everyone actually knows about. Number 5, the End-Ordovician Extinction, approximately 444 million years ago. If you time traveled to Earth right now, you'd immediately want to leave. No trees, no grass, no animals walking around, just rock, dirt, and maybe some slimy moss near a puddle if you got lucky. The most exciting thing happening on land was generously a rock sitting slightly differently than the rock next to it. The ocean was a different story entirely, warm, shallow, and absolutely loaded with life. During this time, the sea levels were very high, which means that many large portions of the continents were covered in water, creating superb shallow environments for all types of disgusting life forms. And no, if you thought my drawing skills were bad, you would obviously be incorrect. The Earth actually looked like this during this period. To name just a few of the life forms, brachiopods, bryozoans, which were tiny colonial organisms that built reflex structures without anyone really noticing they existed, crinoids, which looked like plants but were in fact animals, which to this day doesn't sit right with me, and oh, I nearly forgot, trilobites, disturbing ocean millipedes with armor. Then the planet's climate got out of control. Out of nowhere, the supercontinent Gondwana drifted directly over the South Pole, and aside from looking stupid, the most devastating consequence of this was the accumulation of ice sheets. Lots of them. These ice sheets would form massive glaciers on land instead of falling back into the ocean like they were supposed to. Because of this, sea levels dropped significantly, and now the previous shallow aquatic environments that nearly every life form on Earth depended on at the time, of course, shrank. Because if they didn't, we wouldn't have a mass extinction to talk about. This unfortunate fate for marine life went on for hundreds of thousands of years. Life always finds a way though, so after a few 100,000 years, the life that survived discovered a way to thug it out. This means that Earth was mostly happy. Until everything died again. This time the entire Earth started to warm. Gondwana had hit the world with another surprise. Researchers suggest that this warming was caused by volcanic activity which released CO2 and warmed the atmosphere. So now the marine life that just spent all their time getting used to the new conditions died again. About 85% of all marine species went extinct, but that was good enough odds for the trilobites. Number 4. The late Devonian extinction, approximately 372 million years ago. There are forests now. Real ones with actual structure, putting the pathetic scattered moss to shame. By this point, plants had finally grown some roots, which gave rise to lots of soil. Dirt doesn't sound very significant, but trust me, this was huge for Earth, because it changed how water, nutrients, and carbon moved around the planet. The ocean had gotten weird though. Dunkleosteus was an armored fish roughly the size of a small bus, with bony plates instead of teeth and a bite strong enough, according to some estimates, to cut clean through bone. I would like to remind everyone that this was a fish. Titanichthys was a similarly massive fish that, unlike Dunkleosteus, chose to eat plankton instead, wasting all of its potential. Cladocelac is generally considered one of the earliest true sharks. Eurypterids, also known as sea scorpions, grew to over 2 meters long, and last but not least, the infamous Tiktaalik, which had limb-like fins and was the first to test the land out. Trilobites were still around, by the way. This extinction wasn't caused by ice or an asteroid. It was caused most likely by the forests. Their new deep root systems broke down rock at a scale the planet had never dealt with before, and rain carried the released nutrients, phosphorus especially, into rivers and eventually into the ocean. This was not looking good for the marine life. This didn't just happen once, it happened repeatedly in pulses over the course of a few million years, which meant marine ecosystems never really got a stable chance to recover before they were assaulted again. Around 70 to 75% of all species were lost. Reef-building organisms were hit especially hard, so hard that coral reefs mostly disappear from the fossil record for the next 100 million years. Trilobites survived this one too. I checked twice hoping I was wrong. I wasn't. Number 3. The Permian-Triassic Extinction, approximately 252 million years ago. This is the big one. By now, every landmass on Earth had fused into the cool supercontinent Pangaea, surrounded by one enormous global ocean, Panthalassa. The trilobites were, and I want to stress this, still alive. Land was no longer vaulted, and the Earth finally decided to become interesting. Meet Dimetrodon, a sail-backed predator that's frequently mistaken for a dinosaur despite existing tens of millions of years before dinosaurs did. Gorgonopsians, saber-tooth-style hunters that were at the time some of the most dangerous land predators on Earth. The Cynodonts, herbivores built like tanks with a beak instead of front teeth, basically the laughingstock of the Permian period. Then the Siberian traps happened. Not one eruption, and not even a series of distinct eruptions. A sustained volcanic event lasting hundreds of thousands of years, eventually covering an area roughly the size of Europe in layer after layer of lava. The sheer amount of CO2 and sulfur dioxide released into the atmosphere raised global temperatures by somewhere between 5 and 10 degrees Celsius, which is an enormous shift on a planetary scale. The oceans absorbed so much of that excess carbon that they turned acidic, which dissolved the shells and skeletons of countless organisms directly without them even needing to starve or suffocate first. Oxygen levels in the ocean collapsed on top of that. Somewhere between 90 and 96% of marine species died. About 70% of land vertebrates died along with them. Recovery took roughly 10 million years, the longest recovery period of any extinction event on this entire list. It's called the Great Dying. That's not a dramatic nickname invented for a documentary. That's just what happened. And finally, the trilobites died too. All of them. Every last species. After surviving 2 prior mass extinctions and ice age and an oxygen-starved ocean, it took the single worst extinction event in the planet's entire history to actually finish the job. Number 2, the Triassic-Jurassic Extinction, approximately 201 million years ago. Life recovered slowly, over millions of years. The Triassic period was the recovery arc, no trilobites this time. Pangaea was still intact as a single landmass, still hot, still mostly covered in desert, with life mostly clinging to river valleys and coastlines where conditions were survivable. Lystrosaurus, a stout, pig-sized herbivore, somehow survived the worst extinction event in Earth's history and then proceeded to exist basically everywhere afterward in huge numbers for millions of years. Coelophysis was one of the earliest known dinosaurs. Fast, mid-sized, and based purely on the skull, very annoying to be around. True mammals first appeared during this period. Small, nocturnal probably, completely unremarkable by every measure available at that time. Nothing about them suggested what was coming a couple 100 million years later. In the ocean, marine reptiles were diversifying as well. Ichthyosaurus resembled dolphins structurally, if dolphins had significantly more teeth and significantly worse intentions. Then Pangaea started rifting apart because nothing good can last forever. The rifting triggered another massive volcanic event, but I'm sure the animals were used to the pattern by now. CO2 spike, rapid warming, ocean acidification, oxygen collapse. Around 70 to 75% of all species were wiped out, and I know what you're probably thinking. That's pathetic, and I would have to agree. Luckily for the dinosaurs, the Coelophysis somehow survived. And for the next 135 million years, essentially nobody would challenge his kind again. Number 1, the Cretaceous-Paleogene Extinction, approximately 66 million years ago. You know this one. Dinosaurs spent the Jurassic period diversifying into an enormous range of shapes, sizes, and lifestyles. Tyrannosaurus, Spinosaurus, and Allosaurus handled the apex predator role at different times and in different places. Triceratops, Brachiosaurus, and Diplodocus covered the extremely large herbivore category. If you're wondering why I'm putting mostly real images, it's because I got tired of drawing them. A number of far smaller, stranger species existed too, filling niches nobody would ever think to design on purpose. Birds branched off from a lineage of small feathered dinosaurs around this time as well. Nobody, at the time, noticed how important that particular detail would turn out to be. By the Cretaceous, dinosaurs occupied forests, plains, coastlines, and through a handful of species, even the oceans, alongside marine reptiles like Mosasaurus and Plesiosaurus. Just kidding, they looked like this. Flowering plants were spreading rapidly across the planet for the first time as well. Earth was no longer rubbing its boo-boos, it was thriving at full complex capacity. Then, on an ordinary Wednesday, something appeared in the sky over what's now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. Within minutes, it outshone the sun. The asteroid was roughly 10 kilometers wide. The impact released energy equivalent to billions of atomic bombs detonating simultaneously. Everything near the impact site was vaporized instantly. Not even bones were left behind. A wall of water over a mile high tore across the ocean, hitting coastlines thousands of kilometers away. Earthquakes shook the planet at a magnitude with no real modern comparison. Within days, a cloud of ash and vaporized rock had spread around the entire planet, blocking sunlight almost completely in some regions. It is thought that the dust and debris may have lingered in the upper atmosphere for up to a decade. Even photosynthesis had stopped almost entirely worldwide for an extended period. Food chains collapsed from the very bottom, starting with plants and working upward through everything that depended on them. About 75% of all life on Earth was gone by the time it ended, including every dinosaur species that wasn't a bird. Humans as we know them today have existed for roughly 300,000 years. Dinosaurs had an uninterrupted 165 million year run before one afternoon ended it. Make of that what you will. It has been nearly 70 million years since the last extinction, which means if we were to go by the trends, we are nearly overdue for another mass extinction.